Hello, my name is Liz Garnett and this video is about my creative pilgrimage following the Augustine Camino from Rochester to Ramsgate. I have mixed digital photographs of our journey with final creative images to give a flavour of my experience. Along with Alexandra Le Rossignol, I organised a group of 7 Kent artists to follow this route and to respond to it with our art. Along the pilgrimage we would stop, sketch and photograph. Joining us were Sonia McNally, Fiona Taylor, Bay Lees, Marion Lynn and Caroline Heimers. As with any pilgrimage, each artist was bringing stories and companionship, along with their unique creative skills. We split the route into 14 short walks, with a view to completing 2 sections a month. In November 2019, after a blessing and some sketching and photography, we set off from Rochester Cathedral, heading out of the city along the River Medway and up onto the Downs along the Pilgrims Way and North Downs Way long-distance footpaths. We walked past ancient woodlands with views over the Medway Valley. From Bluebell Hill, we headed downhill along an ancient track and Holloway to Aylesford Priory, and a chance for quiet reflection while enjoying the art and architecture of the Priory. The route then took us along paths and roads past industrial warehouses, reminding us of how modern society needs a transportation infrastructure to move goods. Then we were heading across fields to the bridge crossing the A229 and speeding traffic highlighting our slow progress. The route then led us along rural roads and fields underneath the North Downs, through vineyards to Boxley, where Sonia showed us water divining. Heading out of Boxley, we passed an ancient orchard and more vineyards. We were then crossing another busy road before Detling and Thurnham. The route then took us back up onto the Downs, on a cold and blustery day where we trudged through thick clay and onto Hucking. From Hucking, we followed a mix of rural roads and footpaths through ancient woodland and out onto a field, where we met a man with an American buzzard. We crossed an open landscape of downland fields to Bredgar, then on to Milstead, where we visited the Church of St Mary and the Holy Cross to see a stained glass window by Alex. The weather was wet and blustery, and we took shelter in St Catherine's Church at Kingsdown to explore the architecture of Pugin before heading across windswept fields to Doddington. From Doddington to Painters Forestall, spring was becoming evident with wild flowers carpeting the woods at Sharsted outside Newnham. The pandemic paused our pilgrimage at Painters Forestall on a very wet day in March 2020. Resuming our journey in May 2021, we headed from Painters Forestall to Faversham, past Ospringe Church and the Shrine of St Jude, our destination being the Church of St Mary of Charity and its tall spire. From Faversham, the weather improved and we headed across cultivated farmland and buttercup meadows to the Church of St Peter and St Paul at Bourton-under-Blean, with its views of a green valley. Then we were walking across fields and into Blean Woods and Chartham Hatch before picking up the North Downs Way and Pilgrims Way past the ancient hillside fort of Bigbury Camp. Then we were off up to Harbledown to visit the Black Prince's Well before heading down into Canterbury, over the Great Stour River and a blessing at Canterbury Cathedral. After Canterbury, we took the Stour Valley Walk towards Fordwich, on to the Great Stour River. At Fordwich, we were pleased to find the church open and a chance to see the Fordwich stone and learn a little about its history from Alex. The graveyard proved interesting with its pirate graves, but then we reminded ourselves that Fordwich had once been a port for Canterbury. We then made our way over to Littlebourne, where the church dedicated to St Vincent of Saragossa was surrounded by fragrant rose bushes and not vines to mark the patron saint of winemakers. At Wickhambrew, we came across the pillbox which inspired Michael Morpurgo's book Castle in the Sky. We were disappointed that the Church of St Andrew was not open, so the only way to view the Art Deco stained glass windows was from the outside. However, seeing the windows from behind gave Alex the opportunity to describe the construction of the window. From Wickhambrew, the terrain became flatter. At Stodmarsh, we headed into the nature reserve where we had lunch and watched a kingfisher, and walked through the flat landscape listening to birdsong. At Grove Ferry we met the Great Stour River before taking a footpath out to West Stourmouth and a wander around the All Saints' Church. Here we picked up the Little Stour River, which we followed to Plucksgutter. The two rivers are joined here, and we briefly left the newly formed river to take the Abbots Wall route towards Minster. And then we were on to St Augustine's Cross, which marked the landing point of St Augustine at Ebbsfleet, at a time when the Isle of Thanet was an island. From here we headed past modern housing to Pegwell Bay and the coast, where we stopped to view the replica Viking ship. It was then a short walk along the coast through streets to our destination of St Augustine's Abbey at the end of August 2021. Throughout the journey we have met interesting people, seen the changing landscapes from the North Downs to the flatter North Kent plain between Canterbury and Ramsgate. The varied architecture and art from church to church has been inspirational. Expecting to see fields of hops along a good proportion of our journey, we were surprised to see a large number of established and newly planted vineyards. Further details of our pilgrimage project can be found in the link below.